Okay, last part of September 20th, we're going to try to run through the extra credit stairs here. So notice I've already got a couple building sections cut east to west. Our stair is going to go from the basement up to the first floor and first floor up to the second floor. So we got two separate stairs. Question?
We did those earlier. How do we get them to come back?
The sections?
Yes.
You could go to VG and look under annotation and scroll down to sections. And then just recheck that box. So if you had the sections turned off, you can turn it back on. Now, right now, I'm not going to bother to show the grids, and since this is a working view, I'm just going to VG or VH the grids off here. Also, on my sections, I like to break them in the middle so that that line doesn't run all the way through and get in the way of things visually. Okay, and I'm done with these dimensions that I had for assignment D, the doors. I'm just going to kill all those. Because I want to clear the deck for this stair. Okay, let's start with the basement stair. So I'm going to go down to level 0. And I'm going to leave the grid on and the pipe columns there because we've got to thread the stair past those. So we go to Home and we hit Stairs. And then we go and we look at the different stair types. So we've got monolithic stair, which would be like a cast concrete stair. We've got residential, closed two sides, left open, open two sides. We've got the open riser, and then we have an open riser with a middle stringer. So you're kind of catching on that the properties of type properties of stairs get into how does the stair go together, what are the rules, and also even to what is the rise over run relationship between the how high can you go on risers and how shallow can you go on treads. So let's start with the open riser because that's what we're going to use in the basement. And let's edit the type just to see how the type properties are set up. Well, it says minimum tread depth 11 inches. Well, we don't want to have 11-inch treads. We know we're tight on space, and if you've been in the basement of a lot of these older houses, they would not meet code on the stair rise over run relationship. So we're going to treat it as if it's an existing house with one of those. So I'm going to change the stair type. I'm going to duplicate it and call it basement stair. And I'm going to go in and say, okay, let's cut down on the minimum tread depth, and let's make it, I'm going to run it all the way down to 10 inches. And then I'm going to say maximum riser could be all the way up to 8 inches. And the nosing, I don't want to have a profile. I just want to have default. So it'll be squared off because these are probably just 2x planks that they're using for the treads. This is a crudely built stair. And then the tread thickness I'm going to set to 5 inches, so we'll just say they use 2x's. Nosing will still be 1 inch, but there's really no riser there. And then, what else? We want to say the tread material. We probably won't use cherry wood for this crude basement stair, so I'm just going to put wood studs as my material. Wood stud layer. And really the stringer material, there's no riser material because it's an open riser stair. So I'm going to change the stringer to be wood studs as well, or we call it lumber, but that's just the material that's in our project. So now, I'm in the stair command. I've dealt with the stair type. Now I'm ready to start. I'm in a sketch mode here, right? And this is a different kind of sketch mode than floors and roofs and ceilings. We haven't done ceilings yet. But the way a sketch mode for a stair works is you've actually got 3 different kinds of lines you can draw. Remember, with floors, you just have those magenta outlines that you're doing, unless you get into slope arrows on a floor. On a roof, you can do certain things. Well, in a stair, you can either draw a straight run of the stair, and let's start with that. So on your draw panel, there's 3 different buttons here. There's drawing the run of the stair, which is like running the center line in a certain direction. Or you can draw the actual boundaries and say, okay, I want this stair to curve, and so I'm going to draw a curve here and there. Then I'm going to come back and draw each riser. So the green lines are boundaries, the black lines are risers. and the blue line is a run of the stair. So I'm just going to play around here for a minute. I'm going to do the run, and what Revit's going to do is it's going to assume that the stair starts at the level I'm at, which is level 0, basement, and go up to the next floor level, which is level 1. So it's already done calcs in its head, and it says Hayden said you could go as much as 8-inch high for the risers. So it's going to divide the floor difference by 8 inches and figure out how many risers we need, and therefore the number of treads will be calculated in between the risers. So if I start drawing, Revit is thinking ahead of me. And as I go, if you look there in gray, it says 7 risers created, 6 remaining. So it's assuming that the treads are going to be 10 inches, so that 5 feet is 60 inches, which is 6 times 10, with a riser at the bottom and top. So that's how it's gotten to 7 risers. So if I keep moving, and I go up to where the end of the gray box is shown, it should say 13 risers created, 0 remaining. So Revit, in its wisdom, calculated that I needed 13 risers to get from the basement to the first floor, and it's basing the width of that sketch on whatever width property I had in here. So I'm going to escape once, and I'm going to change the width. 3 feet is fine, so I'm going to use that. So I'm going to try again. Hang on here. Okay. So I'm going to start here, which is the bottom of the stair, and I'm going to go up to there and end it. So it draws in the blue line that I ran for the run, draws in the green boundaries, and it draws in the black risers. Now I'm going to measure with the tape measure here from one to the next, and sure enough, that's 10 inches. The width is 3 feet, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 times 8 would be 104 inches, which is what? 8 foot 8, is that right?
Yep.
And so if I temporarily go to my south elevation here, from 0 down to 8 foot 4 is the basement. So the risers must be a little less than 8 inches, because if they were a full 8 inches, it would go 8 foot 8. So that's how Revit has figured it. So I go ahead and say finish the sketch, and Revit draws the actual stair in plan. It dashes in above the little cut line. It puts an up arrow and a text that says up, and it puts a railing on either side. So now let's look at that in 3D. And I'm going to carve out my section box so I can see what's going on here. I would not want to try to do a stair without a section box, I'm telling you. There's my basement, open riser, stair. Now look at how the railings are dangling off the sides. That's just something that sometimes happens, and you'll notice when you select the railing, there's a flip arrow. So if I flip it so that it's over the stair instead of outboard of the stair, then those vertical balusters, see if I can use open here, those vertical balusters will actually land on the stair. Now, I've seen a lot of basements, and they don't follow code on the baluster spacing, so I'm going to make another kind of handrail. I'm going to edit and duplicate, and I'm going to call this handrail-basement. This is a non-code compliant thing. Now this gets really tricky, but I'll just do it very quickly. Baluster placement. Instead of every where's the spacing? 4 inches from previous. I'm going to space them at 1 foot apart. So now that's probably more like what you're going to see going down to the basement in one of these older houses. So I can select that railing and do the same thing, change it to that handrail basement that I just made. So there's our basement stair. Now we've got to cut a hole in the floor or we have a problem getting upstairs. So let's go back to the level 1 plan, work view. And I'm going to go to wireframe temporarily. And then I'm going to put my stair so that I've got exactly 2 inches of clearance between the edge of the stair and the wall. Now it's sometimes hard to tell which is railing and which is stair, so I'm going to select the stair to make sure that dimension goes to the stair. And then I'm going to say I want that to be 2 inches. And then I'm going to put an opening in the floor here. And I got to start the opening at least a little bit away from that cased opening doorway, otherwise you're going to be trying to walk through the doorway and run into the railing. So I'm going to go back to hidden line, but I'm going to go to underlay, and set it up to be the basement plan and see if I can see the stair. Well, that didn't work, so I'm going to undo that. So I'm just going to start by drawing my opening and then adjust it after I'm done. So how do you build an opening?